Today on Locked On Canadiens, the Haters Guide to the Atlantic Division.
You are Locked On Canadiens, your daily podcast on the Montreal Canadiens, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi there, everyone, and welcome to episode 926. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more, and right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. My name is Laura Sab, also known as the Active Stick, and I'm joined, as always, by Scott Matla of Habs Eyes on the Prize. And Scott, today we're going to make some people upset.
I mean, isn't that what we do every day for like the most part, depending on which team you cheer for at this point in time?
Well, I mean, most of the time we're making our own fans mad. But this time, for a change, we're going to make some other fans mad. And this is a request, actually, from a listener who said that it's from our friend Doghouse, who's been listening to Locked On NHL. And there's a day where it is hosted by a Leafs fan and a Sens fan. So you can imagine that nice things are not said about the Habs on that day. It's on Tuesday. Check out Locked On NHL, obviously, wherever you get this podcast to know what we're talking about. In the meantime, based on our listener suggestion, we've decided to gently kind of push back on teams in the division. We weren't just going to, have all the fun with just Ottawa and Toronto. We decided to let Detroit, Buffalo, Florida, all of them catch some strays as well. So there are 7 teams in the Atlantic Division. Well, other than the Habs, there are 8 teams total. I do know math, guys. There are 7 rival teams in the Atlantic Division. And I got to tell you, if you're out there saying things like, but Buffalo is so fun, or things like Detroit is really on the up and up and they play some interesting games. If you're saying that, please check your Habs fan card at the door and get up. Because here we have no room for being friendly towards any of these division rivals. Even if they have players we like, even if they're fun, even if they're exciting to watch, we're Habs fans. I'm actually kidding. I don't care who you cheer for, but this is a bit. All right, Scott, who shall we start with?
I guess we're going to start close to home for me, at least. Let's start in Buffalo here because they are legitimately a team on the up and up and do play exciting, fun, high event hockey. When the Sabres are on, they are a treat to watch, which is not something I've been able to say in a decade, I'm pretty sure at this point. And
yes, because for most of the past decade, every single game they've played has put everybody in North America to sleep.
Well, yeah, because they were terrible, but still managed to beat the Habs because that's just the way things work all of the time. And since this is the haters guide and not like an official, like actual, like strategic announcement of all the teams and their strengths and their expected goals for, and the look at my model and its bars and my Taylor Swift personality is all I have. This is us being ridiculous in this here. And the first thing is Tage Thompson is too selfish. Scoring all those goals, getting all those points, and giving nothing to his teammates. What kind of person is that in this team here? Honest to God. And if you can't tell that I'm doing a bit in this, please check that. But that giraffe-looking dude out there scoring goals and taking them all away from Rasmus Dahlin or Owen Power or anyone else on this team is selfish. And that is not how you build a franchise. You should all have a bunch of fourth liners that can score 15 goals at a time, maybe 40 goals, 50 goals. Who needs that? Who needs big contracted players anyways? Honest to God, they need to be more like the Canadiens where you have 4 fourth lines and just roll into the playoffs with Steve Ott as your top center for some godforsaken reason. And in the reality side of things, the Sabres horrify and terrify me on a nightly basis. They could score 7 goals without even trying, or they could forget how to clear the puck out of their own zone and give up 7 goals, which makes them just like Oilers East at this point, unless Devin Levi is him, which it seems like he might be. But boy, I don't like that Buffalo is actually good again and can beat the Habs for real instead of just kind of fluking into weird stuff happening in games.
And what is up with having Jeff Skinner on your roster? Automatically, you can't be trusted if you have Jeff Skinner on your roster. What is up with that, like, diminutive, adorable, like, chubby-cheeked, red-cheeked guy with, like, all these funny bits called Between Two Stalls, is it? I can't even deal with that. All right, next team.
Well, my other part with that is that Jeff Skinner was almost not there, and he almost got run out of town by a coach who made him practice with the taxi squad and put him on the fourth line. Like, there is a lot, like, going on with that.
But we're hating here, Scott. We're doing
oh,
irrational hate.
irrational hate. Then, all right, moving on. Here's the thing is I don't need a lot of irrational hate for a lot of teams in this division because I am who I am and I am a poster at heart. And I guess, like, let's just switch over to like Florida, because Florida is a team that you couldn't just lose out last year. You couldn't just accept your failure and go home and give us a top 10 pick. You just had to make the playoffs. And then you just had to beat Toronto after you came back against the Bruins. And you just had to go to the Stanley Cup final and be kind of interesting until all your players exploded into a cloud of dust and amphetamines on the ice. And then you lost to Vegas, which you gave Vegas a Stanley Cup now, and they're unbearable about it. So I'm going to hold that over your head.
I hope they're pleased with themselves.
Well, they probably are. It's the Vegas Twitter account. Let's be honest here. And
not Vegas, Florida.
Oh, well, fine, whatever. Like, they have no defensemen coming in this year. Montour and Ekblad are out injured with, alligator bites or something. I don't know. It's Florida. And knowing them, they're going to go on a hot streak to start the season. They're going to start the season like 20-3 for some godforsaken reason against all odds for everything. And I'm going to have to sit here and look at it and be like, what the hell, man? Really? Do we have to do this again? And it's just, I want to dislike them. I love Matthew Tkachuk as a player. I would die to have a player like Matthew Tkachuk on this team full time. I love Sasha Barkov, and I love a lot of some of their other players there. But like, a team with Sergei Bobrovsky as their core piece in net should not be successful, because it makes me mad that a team that had Carey Price as their core piece in net was much less successful because they didn't surround him with any of the talent that he needed. And that makes me a little bit angry and dead on the inside right now. And outside of that, I just think their jerseys are boring. I want the old Leaping Panther back, or the reverse retros with like the palm tree and the hockey stick and the baby blue. Like,
those were really good. And I just got to say, in the year of our Lord 2023, if you have multiple Stahl brothers on your roster, you should not be going all the way to the Stanley Cup final.
Is he still there?
I don't know, but they were in the Stanley Cup final.
Okay, that's fair. I was gonna say, is Eric Stahl still there?
I don't even know if he's still alive at this point. I honestly don't. Like, he seems like he's like 42, and he's still playing. All right, so I think that's it for, like, I guess the less hateable teams on our list.
Hateable. The Florida Panthers are plenty hateable based on the games the Habs played against them last year.
Also on what they did with our first round pick that we were so excited about. Well, their first round pick that we were so excited about. Like, that was simply unfair.
Yes.
Like, it was not cool. They were so close to missing the playoffs. So close. In fact, they were so close to being in the toilet. And instead what they did was they went to the Stanley Cup final, which the Habs didn't end up using that pick anyway. But if it was in the top 10, I mean, who's to say they wouldn't have kept it and used it and maybe gotten two good players? Maybe they would have.
I would have hoped they would have used it. I would have hoped they would have used it if it was in the top 10, but then it wasn't. And like, I'm not mad at Alex Newhook. I will welcome him though he is my own child that I do not have. But like, they could have had Zach Benson too. I mean, they could have had Zach Benson, but that's not the point. The principle of the matter is Florida cost us everything, and I will never forgive them as long as I'm alive, or until like 2 weeks from now when I forget about this.
All right, up next, let's go to Tampa and then Detroit, or Detroit and then Tampa. Scott, I'm going to let you decide, but in the meantime, I got a message for our listeners, which is that this episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers will get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's right. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. And if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL. And I want to remind everybody to please play responsibly at all times and remember that it's only supposed to be fun. And what is also only supposed to be fun is our haters' guide to the Atlantic Division. Because Scott and I have decided to take out our long and frustrating days on the division rivals. I want to call them rivals, but honestly, for the most part, I want to forget that they even exist. It's not that I want like a hot rivalry with any of these teams. I just wish they would go away. I wish that we could put them on Mars.
I mean, we can send Tampa Bay there. They'll probably find a way out of the salary cap shenanigans related to going to Mars in that. And I guess that's just our next tradition or transition here, I should say, is to just make fun of a team that, inflicted one of the worst, most painful losses that this team has suffered in a long time in the Stanley Cup final, where the Habs went on one of the most fun runs of all time and then ran into a dynasty team and then lost. And then I was sad and then everything went in the toilet. And they did it by being, $18 million over the cap or whatever it was in the playoffs, which I get it. It's legal. I'm not crying about it still. It's 2 years, almost 3 years past now. I don't care. But this is the haters guide, and I'm going to be a hater. And that I think Nikita Kucherov is high-key one of the dirtiest players in the NHL, doesn't get called on anything. Mikhail Sergachev tried to rearrange Josh Anderson's ankle last year in a meaningless game late in the season for both teams, which I will never forgive him for because Anderson was tracking for a career year. And then Sergachev, upon seeing Josh Anderson going for the empty net, is like, what if I just throw him towards the net, skates first, and bust up his ankle, which thanks, appreciate that. And just in general, Tampa fans are just weirdly defensive for almost no reason on Twitter. And I don't get it, is that I generally just GIF and tweet what I am seeing or based on what I'm seeing on the call there, and everyone gets defensive about it. And I don't care. You live in Florida, go outside, touch sand, go do literally anything else except get mad that your dynastic hockey team is now into a little bit of a lull because you've got injuries and this and that. The good news is...
Oh, no, they're not going all the way to the final every year. Oh, no.
You also lost to Toronto in the first round. You took everything from hockey Twitter. You took the best joke everybody had. And yes, I know that it is beating a dead horse until it's literally pate on the ground. But guess what? It was always funny that no matter what, Toronto, despite being the favorite and having all the analytics and the players and the star players and this guy at the deadline
and the deep
vibes,
pockets
and this and that, and they couldn't get it done. And then you went and you blew it. And you had every opportunity to win it, and you blew it, and you took away hockey Twitter's favorite meme. Florida admittedly let them win a game and almost didn't allow them to get swept in the round last year, but that's not the point. I'm mad at Tampa right now, and it is just, how dare you take that from all of us? The Habs did it. The Habs came back from 3-1 down. Remember, it was 3-1, and you took it away from us.
With a far inferior team and coach.
Yeah, exactly. You lost to Sheldon Keefe. You didn't lose to prime Scotty Bowman or anything like that. You lost to Sheldon Keefe. Feel shame. And here's the thing is, they're finally starting to just regress a little bit back to the mean here. Vasilevsky's out a while. He covered a lot of their issues here. Their core is getting older. Stamkos getting older. Kucherov is getting older. Obviously, Vasilevsky's getting older. Hedman's getting older. They don't have a lot in prospects because they gave up a lot to contend. They gave Tanner Jeannot $1 bajillion for some godforsaken reason. They are in their last throes of their empire. And quite frankly, I can't wait for it to all come collapsing down, but I'm also horrified because they've done a very good job in the past at rebounding very quickly. So I'm going to enjoy this narrow window in which Tampa Bay is on the downside and not on the upside for things at this exact moment.
Speaking of upside, this is another team where people are tempted to like them, tempted to get into this because Detroit is on the up and up. They've been a team with fans that have been quite unlucky too, in terms of, it doesn't matter how bad they weren't ever getting the draft pick position that they really wanted and, to be honest, often deserved. But now they've got exciting young players. They've made some changes. They've got a GM who seems to be a little bit smarter than he initially let on. And well, not initially let on. Like, I always thought he was pretty smart, but I never considered him to be one of those, elite masterminds or anything like that. But it's slowly becoming apparent, despite the fact that they signed Ben Sherratt. It's becoming apparent that they're smarter than we think they are in that front office.
I don't know what to make of Detroit because they're doing the things right and that they're taking lower risk, upside bets on the offense. They've done a good job drafting in terms of prospects and everything that they're doing there. They've tried to shore up areas in which they have been struggling. I don't know if Ben Sherratt is part of that, to be quite honest. I don't think he should be included, but, beggars can't be choosers. They went out and got Alex DeBrincat for nothing thanks to the Senators, LOL. And yet I'm still not convinced they're going to make that next step. They're on that team of like the Canadiens when they missed the playoffs, that they are like just right there. You can see the bones to it, but I'm just not convinced. And I'm not convinced in this division that they are better than Tampa, Florida, Toronto, Boston. I could see a debate for, depending on how the Bruins season goes, or Buffalo. They are definitely better than I think the Senators and the Canadiens right now, but that's also because the Canadiens are a lottery team again this year. I want to see what that end result is. And I get that there's frustration that it is however many years. And I just poop or get off the pot. Either be good or don't. Like at a certain point, it's just taking too long at this point for where they should be at in this. And
Scott,
I think
we haven't taken any cheap shots yet.
I don't have anything really mean to say about Detroit, except for they gave Ben Sherratt 4 years for some godforsaken reason. I don't actually know what to say to be mean to Detroit because I don't have anything mean to say about their hockey team. Lions
Or their
fan.
city. I actually really love Detroit.
I do too. And as someone who's employed by an employer who is based out of Michigan, I'm going to keep my mouth shut mostly, except for the Lions, whose fans whine about literally everything that doesn't go their way, like it should be handed to them, despite the fact that they were dog crap for 20 years. But this is not Locked On Packers or Locked On Vikings or Locked On Bears or anything like that. That's not the point. I want Detroit to be good because it's something that felt right for so long. In that growing up watching hockey, it was the Red Wings make the playoffs. The Red Wings make the playoffs. The Red Wings make the playoffs. Win Stanley Cups. And yeah, admittedly, a bunch of that was probably because they had several Hall of Famers on every single team. But it feels very weird not having Detroit around the playoffs, even after a couple of years. Yeah, you make it for almost 25 years. I get it. There's a window to rebuild. But they're getting dangerously close to, is this rebuild actually happening? And my whole hater thing to this is, if this isn't the year that they take that step forward, y'all got to make some decisions here because it is clearly not working. And that's probably to the Canadiens' benefit, to be honest, that another team has to reset a little bit and square one.
And that wasn't as Haiti as I imagined, but still, do not cheer for a division rival. Because let me tell you what's going to happen is that at the end of the day, this is one of the teams that is going to end up kicking you off of a playoff spot at the end of the year. Like last year, we were all being nice to Florida, and look what they did. They didn't kick the Habs out of a playoff spot, but they sure as hell kicked them out of a good draft position. So don't be nice to any of these teams. Doesn't matter how fun they are. It doesn't matter how little hateable there is about them. And the thing that I think with Detroit and Buffalo that makes people warmer to them is that their fans are not obnoxious, right? They might have been back in the heyday or whatever, but at this point, their fans are just defeated, just like the rest of us. We have a lot in common with them, which is not the case with any of the three teams that we're going to discuss here in just one moment here on Locked On Canadiens. But first, this episode is also brought to you by Indeed. When you're drafting your fantasy team, do you ever wish you could do the same thing with your business team? If you're building a roster to win the league, then you need Indeed. Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Don't spend hours on multiple job sites looking for candidates with the right skills when you can do it all with Indeed. Find top talent fast with Indeed's suite of powerful hiring tools like Indeed Instant Match, assessments, and virtual interviews. Do you hate waiting? Indeed's US data shows that over 80% of Indeed employers find quality candidates whose resume on Indeed matches their actual job description the moment they sponsor a job. With Instant Match, as soon as you sponsor a post, you get a short list of quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description, and you can invite them to apply right away. Indeed knows when you're growing your own business, you have to make every dollar count. And that's why with Indeed, you only pay for quality applications that match your must-have job requirements. Visit Indeed.com/lockedon to start hiring now. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon. Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. Cost per application pricing not available for everyone. Need to hire? You need Indeed. All right, Scott, we have been left with the most vile teams in existence, not just in the NHL, but on the entire planet, in the galaxy, in whatever, like, what's the biggest one? Galaxy, universe, solar
is
system?
the biggest one. Universe
There
is the
you go.
biggest one,
Right.
as far
That.
as I know anyways.
That. Who do we even start with? They're all worse than each other.
Well, we're going to start with the Bruins, I think, because they are the original six rival who are now without any center depth whatsoever. Their center depth at the NHL level is legitimately worse than the Montreal Canadiens, which is a very hilarious statement to say about a team that boasted Patrice Bergeron for 16 years. Like, it is a wild, wild thing that, and the annoying part is that the Bruins will probably still be good, but I'm going to hate them because they made Brad Marchand their captain. Like, what are you doing? You had Milan Lucic right there, and you gave the C to Brad Marchand of all people.
Lucic.
What are you doing?
Lucic.
Milan Lucic wants to kill people in playoff games. Brad Marchand never did anything like that. He didn't say anything to any of those players after the 2014 season. Milan Lucic showed the real heart the Bruins needed there. He had a goal and an assist last night in a preseason game. Does that matter? No, but they should have put the C on him. And also, their New Jerseys suck. I'm going to be very honest. Your weird fake Vegas gold doesn't work. It's super mid. You had the meth bear and you didn't go with it.
And why are you calling it Vegas gold?
I don't know, because that's what I don't know. I don't
No,
stop
not
yelling
you.
it.
Them.
Oh, them? I don't know, because they're dumb and stupid.
It's not Vegas gold. They think it's gold. It's not. It's yellow.
It's like
yellow.
It's Reno gold at best. Like, if we're being honest with everything here, like, yeah, David Pasternak's still great. Yeah, Brad Marchand's good. Charlie McAvoy's pretty good. Their goalie's doing adorable thing, but you're wearing Reno gold, and I hate you. Like, it's there. I don't have to back it up with any reasoning. It's the Bruins. It's in the blood of Canadiens fans and all that beyond there to just hate the Bruins. And they were talking about, is the rivalry kind of cooled off? You would think so. And then AJ Greer broke Mike Hoffman's face last year. So the last thing Joel Edmondson did in a Habs uniform was punch him so hard his helmet came off. Like, that's hate you cannot teach or learn in any kind of fandom.
It's honestly, like, it's quite appalling the things they get away with. Everybody thinks they hate the Bruins, but they truly don't understand what it means to hate the Bruins, unless you're a Montreal Canadiens fan or a Toronto Maple Leafs fan for a very specific reason. And that's going to bring us to our, it was 4-1, it was 3-1, it was 3-1 another time, and then another time it was 3-1, and one time it was also 4-1 again, and then, one time it was like 5-0 against the Habs. And then they blew that lead. So, like, let's talk about the ultimate chokers in all of sports, the Toronto Maple Leafs.
What do I have to say that I haven't said as an absolute, like, dedicated hater on this show or on Twitter is that you have a team where you have these brilliant core 4 to 5 pieces. Your fan base wants to trade the cheapest one of them, despite him being the one who always shows up for the playoffs. You have a guy that you gave $11 million to playing third line center in a game that you lost 3-1 to the Canadiens. You have the guy who fans want to trade playing a position doesn't play and not exactly thriving at that. You have 2 forwards that when the going gets tough in the playoffs, they just vanish off the face of the earth. Oh, but they got shot attempts and they should go. Yeah, but they're not. I don't care about attempts. Puck go in net. If you're getting paid $11 million, put the damn puck in the net. Like, it's in that playoff series against Toronto, I learned a lot that you cannot criticize anything on that team when you were losing because everyone loses their mind. And I would hate the Leafs less if their fan base didn't jump down our necks every time that we weren't like
Oh no, they
tripping over
outright
ourselves.
bullied us for like months after that series. They
They still
literally like
do.
they harassed us on the internet for that.
It's fine. We can go to airports without being afraid. It's totally fine. Like they're a team that should be so much more successful than they are. And it's like, yeah, people are like, oh, Slavkovsky might not even be that good. Okay, cool. He's probably going to have more playoff success than Austin Matthews is at this point. I look at Matthews and what does he have? First round choke, first round choke, first round choke, first round choke. Oh, cool. They won a second round choke where they won a game barely. Why am I supposed to be like, ooh, it's the playoffs. Here come the Leafs. Marner and Matthews put up 100 bajillion points in the preseason. Look at that. Mitch has a funny hat. Austin has a shirt with a drippy smiley face and hangs out with Justin Bieber. Look at it. I don't care. I only want to see a team that has all these good pieces because Kyle Dubas did the right thing and kept his core together. And what did he get? Crap, because the team doesn't care the minute the playoff starts. The minute it gets a slightly too tough, they quit and wilt. It's like burning down a house
he got a job
of
in
cards.
Pittsburgh. I don't know if that's
he did the right thing while he was still in Toronto. He went for it with his core and he stuck by them. Should he have? I don't know. Maybe not. But
you're saying, what did he get? I'm like, another job.
Well, yeah, fair enough.
That's how he
true.
was rewarded. He was
he got
packing.
rewarded with the best player in modern NHL history and Erik Karlsson. So, I guess he made out pretty well. The absolute funniest thing next year is Toronto playing Pittsburgh in round 1 and just getting bombarded by the Penguins. It will be the absolute funniest take day on Twitter. And
it was 3-1 situation.
If they 3-1 to the Penguins.
3-0 and then reverse sweep.
I swear to God, I will be inconsolably crappy on the internet if that happens. And we should move on because I can't yell about the Leafs forever. We have an entire regular season.
Speaking of unmitigated crap, let's talk about the Ottawa Senators.
Yeah, let's talk about a team whose only sole interest when they play the Habs is what if we fight Arbor Jackeye but don't? With a captain who looks like he has 4 brain cells to rub together. And the Kachucks would be great if they didn't play for the 2 rival teams in the division here. Truly.
The Kachucks would be great on Montreal.
Honest to God, a top line that has Matthew Tkachuk, Nick Suzuki, and Cole Caulfield would put up 110 points apiece. Just forget about it.
Filthy.
You get anywhere near Cole Caulfield, you're just gonna have a feral child gnawing on your ear the minute you touch either Suzuki or Caulfield. And Ottawa,
then not only is he going to annoy the crap out of you, he's then going to go score goals.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. It's like, oh, wow, he punched me in the face and went to the box and then came out and he scored between the legs and then, beheaded me with a hockey stick. It's the thing about the Senators is they are a team that went out and bet on all this skilled talent. They brought in Claude Giroux. They drafted smart players and they have nothing to show for it because they can't defend. Their coach somehow has not been fired.
They also can't keep Alex DeBrincat.
There's that. Alex DeBrincat was a great idea. A goal-scoring talent on that team. You don't think him going from a bad Chicago team where he still scored 40 goals to doing nothing in Ottawa is not a coaching problem? If he goes and lights it up in Detroit this year, that's your coach. This year, they cannot sign Shane Pinto, who Sens fans told us is better than Cole Caulfield. Whatever, because they gave $5 million to Vladimir Tarasenko for some reason. Josh Norris is not there for whatever reason. They had to waive 2 first-round picks, one of which got claimed by the Ducks, because they gave Travis Hamonic a full no-move clause. I don't understand why you gave Travis. Your defense is...
Do you know these players' ages? Do you know these players' injury histories before you're signing them to $4 million or $5 million?
I don't know. Remember, Travis Hamonic got, I think, he was traded for during the 1 year of Pierre Maguire and Pierre Dorian, and then extended. Pierre Dorian looked at this and went, I gotta keep Travis Hamonic here. Why? Your franchise is just so little brother poverty franchise, and I'm just tired of looking at it. I am tired of your goon AHL guys injuring prospects and other players, and then everyone going on about how good Tim Stützle is when he's not falling over against gravity. get out of my face. I might hate Ottawa more than I hate Toronto, just because Toronto at least can make the playoffs and have that to their name. What has Ottawa done except
And they're
beat the
not
Habs in
accusing the
pointless?
Habs of doing what they do, right? Like, so every time like one of their players injures a Hab player, they turn around and like make it all about Arbor Jacki or Josh Anderson. That's the
Yeah,
other thing too.
it's they hate Arbor Jacki more than anyone else, and it's like he's not even doing anything in a game. And they're like, "Well, I hate him. I hate his face." And I'm like, "He probably hates your face too, honestly." So it's all right. I've exhausted my haterade for today. I am out of
And with
breath.
that, once again, I want to remind people that this was for fun. The Haters Guide is usually, if you look at any column or any episode of anything that's the Haters Guide, is literally for fun. It's not that deep. Please kindly do not set your insane fans on us, brigade us on the internet, bully us. We're just trying to have fun. What you can do is you can go to your own podcasts or your own Twitter accounts or your own columns or whatever and make fun of the Habs. We're not going to bully you for it. And also, remember, those of you who are still listening to this point, tomorrow is our mailbag episode. So please, please, please send us your mailbag questions to lockedoncanadians@gmail.com. You can also tweet them at us at whatever, just tweet them at us on Twitter at LO_Canadians, and you can leave them in the YouTube comments as well. Just put mailbag question at the beginning of your comments so we know that you want us to bring it up on our mailbag episode. In the meantime, we are available wherever you get your podcasts as well as on YouTube. Subscribe, tell your friends, give us ratings. And oh yes, if you want to find us on social media, I almost forgot to plug our own social media. I'm at the Active Stick everywhere. Scott is at Scott Matla everywhere. Thank you so much for listening, and we will definitely talk to you tomorrow.